Salute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Welcome in day 4, free agency, as the New York Knicks continue to put together their coaching staff as we add some assistants alongside Mike Brown. We'll chop that up, and the latest news to come through day 4 of free agency around the league, Q&A with the chat, just like we do, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to Knicks Nation. What's good, everyone? Getting to 4th of July. Happy 4th to everyone coming through soon. And let's have a great stream tonight as the New York Knicks, man, are putting together a great off-season so far. And things are quietening down. Things are going to get a bit more quiet as we had a whole heap of buzz over day 1, day 2, hiring Mike Brown now. And obviously Summer League now is around the corner. The Knicks kick off on July 11. Vegas Summer League will kick off July 10. And the Knicks will play 5 games, right? And we have our Summer League coach now, Jordan Brink. We're going to go through Jordan Brink's resume. He's already been on the staff. He's the video guy, ladies and gentlemen, and obviously he's brought a lot to the table. We're going to go through that and much, much more. Salute to everyone in the building. Johnny, Buzzer Beater, you already know. Darren, Kaiser Soze, Anthony's in the house. Let's go, guys. How you feeling? Knicks championship odds with NBA Bet. This kind of caught me a little by surprise, but it's early, and I think the odds are going to fluctuate as we go throughout the season. But I mean, Knicks, Kings of the East, that has a nice ring to it right now. Plus 750 right now, but a huge gap between OKC and our New York Knicks. But the Houston Rockets putting together a great off-season, obviously. The Denver Nuggets as well, although a little bit of a curveball. They might be losing Jonas Valanciunas, man. Nuggets Nation been buzzing over the Valanciunas pickup, but we find out today, man, he might be, he might be wanting to go overseas. So while deals can't be officially consummated until July 6, man, we can't count our eggs before they hatch right now. And the Kevin Durant trade is expected to be a record 7-team trade. And it might be expanding, man. A lot of reporting saying that the Knicks aren't involved. Unfortunately, if it is a 7-team trade, I was like, man, is Leon going to get in on that? But so far, the Knicks aren't involved in that KD trade, 7-team trade. But there are some free agents still getting, still on the market. Some free agents still getting bought out as well. Chris Boucher hasn't signed with anyone. Fam, what do y'all think about that? OG, Chris Boucher look tight in this graphic. I think he'd be a nice free agent pickup. The Knicks looking like they want to add another veteran minimum guy, and they can, because the Yabusele money is going to fit right in into the right piece, the right hole. So I think the Knicks will be looking to add one more vet. No new news on the Ben Simmons front. The LeBron James thing's really dying down. Looks like he's stuck in LA right now, although it looks like, that's headed for a divorce at some point. We had Jock Landale get bought out, a backup center. I know a lot about him. We'll talk about him a little bit if the Knicks want to add another big. But Nelly Nell, Kaiser Soze, Richards in the building. Salute to everyone coming through. Nelly says, why are we being linked to Ben Simmons? Yeah, such a polarizing name, man. Great question. I said it last night. I'd be open to it. People might think I'm crazy, but it's different. He's going to be the 9th guy. If Ben Simmons is your 9th or 10th guy, on the vet, I don't think there's any harm in that. But I'm just looking at Ben Simmons like a defender, a guy who could handle some ball handling duties. He's going to get assists, and he finds the guys in the corners. He was the 7th ranked assist man in the league for finding corner threes. And he's 6'10". It'd be like signing a free wing who can guard and play make a little bit. I do think we are a little bit light on the ball handling. So if it ain't Ben Simmons, sign me up for a Brogdon. Sign me up for someone else who could ball handle a little bit with a bit more size. I've been thinking about it closely. I just don't know if Tyler Kolek's ready to assume, major minutes on the championship team. I want him to get a chance. We're going to find that out in Summer League. Too, fam. Larry says, I like Boucher, but where and when will he find the minutes? Great question, Larry. He could be situational. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to add more depth. There could be injuries. The guy's 6'11", can block shots, can play the 4, the 5, the 3. Such a versatile guy. What's up, Joe? Great to see you. Darren, what's good? D, nice, what's good? If he's looking for more than the vet minimum, it's a pass. Yeah, definitely. Not paying Ben more than the vet minimum. We actually can't afford that. Yeah, there's just quite a few question marks. Yabusele can't play center, in my opinion. He's going to be 6'8", 6'8". Can't really get off the ground too much. Very rugged power forward. I love the pickup, but I just don't know if he wants center minutes. Huck Pority, jury's still out on him a little bit. Mitch and the ongoing, previous injury history. Karl Anthony Towns can't stay out of foul trouble. Ben Simmons or Chris Boucher, I think, they could guard some fives, and I think that's key as well. But look, I'm not high on Ben Simmons by any means. I do know he comes with baggage and all of that, guys. But to address the headline, top of the show, salute to everyone in the building. Smash that like button. You've got the Knicks streets buzzing. Jordan Brink, just to go through what he brings to the table, confirmation that Brink is going to be the coach of Summer League. So I like that. Give a young guy a chance, He's got a reputation and a relationship with some of our guys, all of our players. You see him on the bench right here last year, Summer League. Tyler Kolek, familiarity. So he's the video guy, and he has such a high success rate around the NBA as the guy who, will decide to let Tibbs know whether or not to challenge the call. And the Knicks had one of the best success rates at that. And look, we all know Eric Spoelstra started as a video coordinator. That's how a lot of these guys get their start. Give the guy a chance. And obviously he's not a new face because he's been around. He's been with the bench. He's been with the squad. And guess who else he's been with, fam? D Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Derrick Rose had a big part to play with D Rose in Detroit before the Knicks traded for Derrick Rose. When Derrick Rose renaissance happened and he became sixth man and came back on the Knicks. So Jordan Brink, great write-up from James L. Edwards of The Athletic, who used to cover the Pistons, has been talking about his praise as well. So happy to see him get a chance to coach Summer League. So we got our Summer League coach now. We got our assistant coach as well, Brian Gorgian, too, that I've spoken about in the past. Brian Gorgian's going to bring a lot of experience to the table, so I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. He's running the mini camp right now as well, guys. Salute to everyone in the chat. Now, obviously, the bigger talking point though is the staff. What are we going to do? Who's going to be the lead assistant, and all of that. Basically, we've got some news coming through, and I think this is more on the positive side because it does look like Mike Brown is going to be able to hire a lead assistant, and that Rick Brunson is going to take on a lesser role, and he's going to step back. So that's what we're hearing. Obviously, we know Rick Brunson was Tibbs's lead assistant, and it does look like Rick Brunson's going to return, and I spoke on that 3 weeks ago. So I know a lot of people reported that news yesterday. I spoke about that 3 weeks ago, and I told y'all that Rick Brunson was coming back. Right? There was no surprise to us. if you're listening to me, Rick Brunson was always going to stay, but the surprise was that he's not going to be the lead assistant. He's going to step back. But Darren Erman, Mo Cheeks, Mark Bryant, no dice. No dice, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Bryant, Mo Cheeks, Darren Erman, and Rick Brunson expected to remain on the staff. And Phil Handy as well. No confirmation yet, but yeah, some early indications. Appreciate y'all, BB in the house. Phil Handy as well does look like he's a front runner, I think, to get a lead assistant. But no confirmation on that yet. But yeah, what do y'all think? No dice. Obviously, he's Tibbs' brother, and those guys are going to stick together. I think Tibbs is hoping to land another job. Taj Gibson revealed on our latest podcast that in talking to Tibbs, Tibbs is hoping to land another job ASAP, man. Tibbs hates to be out of the league. Put in the chat, who do y'all think, which team do you think is going to give Tibbs a shot to return to the sideline, even as an assistant? Yeah, we'll talk about the Bradley Beal situation. He's going to get bought out, and it does look like he'll stay on the West Coast. The Lakers continue to pick up guys off the buyout market, but we picked up Jordan Clarkson, so I can't complain. But would have loved to pick up Bradley Beal as another shot maker, but we need more defense, guys. Yeah, my overall thoughts, I feel like it's a positive because, you want some new coaches coming in, some fresh voices. We already got Mike Brown and maybe Phil Handy, but some continuity is important as well. Not to overhaul the entire staff, and that the players that have that relationship with the guys of Rick Brunson, Darren Erman, Mo Cheeks, and Mark Bryant, working with the bigs as well. When I mention Tibbs, I'm talking about as an assistant. I don't expect Tibbs will ever get another head coach job in the NBA, but I do think some teams would be interested in giving him an assistant role with his experience. Loose as well. I like our roster. Can Y-Man play a little one? Joe says Huck Porty and Kolek will be key this year coming off the bench. Yeah, right now they are in line to get, some minutes, Joe. Maybe Huck Porty more than Kolek, in my opinion. Obviously with Clarkson, Deuce, and JB, that's a lot of guard minutes between those three guys. And then you've obviously got Josh Hart. Now, McCullough's got a qualifying offer as well, but we don't know if that is to return on the regular roster spot on a rookie minimum or on the two-way. But given the fact that we've brought in James Nagy, Dink Pate, and Mohamed Diawara, somebody's got to snap up one of the roster spots, and the rest of them got to stay on the two-way. But I think it's definitely time that Huck Porty gets major minutes now. I think while Mitchell Robinson's here, you got to start to blood Huck Porty, because you just never know when we might have to rely on him a lot more to step up. He's the third big right now. Like I said, I think Yabusele is more of the four-man as a guy who's 6'8". I mean, he's not going to be able to protect the rim and block shots. I think he will be a guy who could definitely guard the post-ups as well. Larry says Sacramento. Tibbs should go to Philly, Detroit. It'll definitely be a guy who's got relationships with in terms of former people on his staff and all of that as well. But yeah, Chris Boucher is still out there. He would definitely be someone that I would look at with Bradley Beal, looking like he's going out to Los Angeles. I mean, how many players have been bought out, man, on big salaries? I told y'all it's a trend now. You got Damian Lillard, you got Clarkson, you've obviously got DeAndre Ayton, you've got Bradley Beal now. Teams just biting the bullet and just accepting the fact that these albatross contracts just can't get traded. But the one thing with Yabusele is the floor spacing. Even if he is playing the power forward, we got a hell of a lot more versatile with 3-point shooting and volume off the bench, man. With Clarkson and Yabusele, I think Deuce McBride's going to be more efficient because he's going to have to do less, with more gunners around him. And Hart's going to be free to get downhill and be more of Josh Hart. I think Hart had to play it more outside of his comfort zone, when it comes to, trying to do too much, man. Too much ball handling and turnovers. Lewis V, I do think we'll keep Mitchell. I think we'll keep Mitchell at the moment. Starting centers now, you see what they're going for, man. Miles Turner got what, 26 mil plus. Mitchell Robinson, I know he's on the final year, but I think we'll come to some kind of extension agreement, and then we could decide what to do. But I guess you got to see how healthy he can stay this season, and I don't think there's any rush to extend him right now. McCullough will be looking to take some guaranteed money. I think his experience will be key in getting one of those final roster spots. But we got one more veteran spot to fill. What do y'all think? Landry Shamet? Or would y'all look at somebody else? Right. Another young gun wing is available for trade right now. Max Prosper with the Dallas Mavericks. Right. The issue with Dallas is they're at 16 men. They need to shed a contract. They brought back Dante Exum, and reports coming out that Max Prosper, the 6'8 wing with a 7'1 wingspan, is now available via trade. He's on a cheap rookie contract. So we could technically do a swapsies and do a Dardier for Omax, or we could do a Kolek, or other pieces. But that's an interesting situation to watch with Dallas, man. If LeBron does get traded, a lot of people are looking at Dallas because they do have the contracts and the fit. They're at 16 rosters now, 16 players, and something has to give. Richard says, you guys think Najee gets a spot? I see him as a potential Mitch. Yeah, great call, Richard. I think Najee is going to be on the two-way, or he might end up landing, a roster spot. I think more likely on the two-way, if I'm guessing, just because I think they're going to be looking for a veteran to land the last two spots. But he could beat out McCullough for the final rookie spot. Marjon Beauchamp, no news about him, fam. No news. He was on the two-way last year. I don't know if he's going to come back. We haven't extended a qualifying offer, and we have to McCullough, so I think McCullough might be taking his spot. Right now. We'll wait and see. But obviously, we locked in our coach yesterday. More news coming out about Mike Brown and what he's going to bring. A very detail-oriented guy. A guy that loves practice, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully we are going deeper into the rotation, because reports coming out, Mike Brown loves to practice consistently throughout the season and loves hard practices as well. So we talked about similarities with Thibodeau being very regimented, hard-nosed, and disciplined, highly disciplined, and definitely holding players accountable. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with regular practice, working on schemes and end of game situations and out of timeouts and out of bounds plays, third quarters and all of that. I'm open to doing more of that, because Thibodeau didn't practice during the regular season, but he played his guys into the ground. So if we can have a little bit of push and pull and play a deeper rotation, but with more practice, practice makes perfect. Obviously, as they say, late game execution killed the Knicks. What else did we learn about Mike Brown, man? We learned that obviously with his offense, pace and space, he loves to do the double drag. Is very creative. We'll play some 3-2 zone. he'll just mix it up. He'll muddy it up for opposing teams when they try to get on a run, and I like that. I like those ideas. You know, actually, that reminds me, I had another graphic to pull up that I am going to pull up and keep getting through all the comments tonight. Salute to everyone in the building. Please smash that like button. It's free to click that like button. You support the channel, you support Nick Streets, and you keep things buzzing. Appreciate y'all 110%. Big off season so far. I think the New York Knicks are in a great spot. We're in a position where we're obviously now second favorite, according to NBA Bet, second favorite to win the championship. What do y'all think about that? Is that fair? Did you expect the New York Knicks to be second favorite with NBA Bet plus 750, with OKC at plus 250? So that's a pretty big difference right now. Jason says definitely Shamet. Lou says McCullough can defend, so let's keep him. Yeah, I like McCullough a lot, and I think he's just a mystery man because we haven't seen him enough. But I honestly think his two-way game is more ready than Dardier's. I think we are going to see that in Summer League. We're definitely going to be live post-game after all Summer League, chopping it up. And what a fun Summer League it's going to be. Johnny says it doesn't hurt to have an extra big man, figuring it out. Yep. And Criminal New York says, stop it with Simmons talk. People going to be walking on eggshells dealing with him. Yeah, look, I get it, man. He's polarizing. It's just hard because, you know, as a 11th, 10th or 9th, 11th man, I think on a vet minimum, I don't think it'd be too bad because he's 6'10". He could guard 1 through 5 as well. I'm definitely not bringing him in if he wants to be the 7th man or wants, you know, heavy minutes. No news on Mike Brown's press conference, man. It hasn't even been announced by the club officially. So it's only been reported that Mike Brown is the coach until the New York Knicks officially confirm. I would expect it to be after July 6. Free agency deals cannot even be confirmed until July 6. So, but keep it locked in. We'll tell you if and when the press conference is coming next week. Yeah, Phil Handy looks like he's going to be a part of the staff as well, guys. What do y'all think about that? I like the Jordan Brink move to run Summer League because, you know, he's been with the squad. Here he is with Derrick Rose back in Detroit. Here he is on the sidelines last summer as well in Vegas. And he had a very successful season with the Knicks on the sidelines, helping out Thibodeau with the video challenge calls as well. Shamet is a must. Yeah, I like Shamet, and I would definitely bring him back, but I don't know if he's the best option right now because Clarkson's going to take a lot of those minutes, y'all, and I'm ready to elevate McCullough and Dardier. I think at some point you've got to bite the bullet and just elevate the next guy up and try to avoid double ups. Great 10-man unit, y'all, but my concerns is look at the 4 guys on the sideline. Look at the situationals. They're all kind of the same thing. Kolek, Shamet, McCullough, and Dardier. There is a lot of double up. Right. Get me a guy who's 6'11", another big, or another point guard, another playmaking point guard. I think between, you know, but for Shamet's minutes, he's going to be situational, I think, right now. Clarkson, Deuce McBride, and at some point you've got to play Dardier. At some point you've got to see what McCullough is going to bring as well. He's going to bring more size than Landry Shamet and more D. What do y'all think about that? Am I tripping? Or do we bring Landry back no matter what? Yeah, Bradley Beal, more that I think about it, it'd be another redundancy, you know? Yeah, you may as well not have signed, Jordan Clarkson on the buyout and just sign Bradley Beal instead. But we have Clarkson now. Um, Building blocks says, I think the presser will be Saturday. Johnny says, CT, a new coach with this awesome roster feels very fresh and exciting. Leon knows what he's doing. Get real. Definitely, man. It feels fresh, man. It feels like a breath of fresh air right now. We step outside with the summer breeze, make us feel fine. And I think continuity is key. The guys coming back for the most part with a couple of great bench upgrades, a couple of youthful, rooks coming in. I definitely feel like it's justified that the Knicks are second favorite now. I know what's been happening out west, out east, but here are the championship odds right now. Slight favorites over ahead of the Houston Rockets and the Denver Nuggets in NBA bet. Look at all the teams, man. They're all out west, except for Cleveland and Orlando. So you got OKC, Knicks, Rockets, Nuggets, Cavs, Magic. Then you got the Lakers, T-Wolves, Clippers, and then the Dubs as well to take that NBA championship. And the NBA knows it's getting real for the New York Knicks, man, using Brunson in the graphic. Anytime they start using a New York Knick in the marketing graphics for the NBA official accounts, it's definitely real. It's definitely real. Anthony says Ben. David says McCullough and Dink Pate going to get some big minutes this year. Yeah, two ways contract. I think they need to alter that. The 45 games seems a bit harsh, in my opinion, man. I think we talk about a lot of NBA expansion. I think one way they could expand the league is just to let teams carry 20 guys. They let you bring 20 guys in training camp, and we have a lot of good players get squeezed out of the league. Just let teams can carry more players on their squad. 45 games is harsh, and the two-way players cannot play in the playoffs. That sucks. That sucks, man. Maybe even allow for playoffs to include the 45 games. That would be better. What happens if 2-3 major injuries happen? Y'all need these two-way players. I think Dink Pate's got point guard skills. He's definitely similarities to like a D'Lo Russell, but more athletic. A guy like a Amen Thompson, I think got a lot of similarities to his game. Muhammad Diawara, there's a great video that I shouted out last time on a channel. 3 hours of film on Diawara. I'm watching that closely. His handle is a lot better than expected. Still raw offensively. The jump shot, if that can improve, he'll definitely be in the league a long time. But right now he's a defensive first man, and 6'9", and a 7'4" wingspan. He's just incredibly long, right? And great skills on the defensive side. Yeah, given the situation with Mitch, Huck, Yabu, and Cat, I would bring in a Chris Boucher if I can. I think that would add better balance to the squad. And then look at another point guard. Another point guard, y'all. What do y'all think? Or do you think Dink Pate can be that guy? David says Cavs lost 3 bench players. Yeah, I think Detroit, the Cavs, lost a couple of good pieces for real. Amir Coffey, that's a good name. I like that name, Amir Coffey, too. I like Lonnie Walker. He could be a secondary playmaker off the bench. That could be something to look out for as well. I know y'all still, yeah, we're waiting to see what happened with Marjan Beauchamp, Anton Watson. I do guess we're probably going to bring those to Summer League. The Knicks are usually one of the latest teams to announce their Summer League squad, right? We're July 3, and we still don't know our Summer League squad. A lot of the league has announced their Summer League squad already, so we are going to have to just sit tight and be patient. But I would guess that Anton Watson, Beauchamp, maybe Chuma or Akeke, maybe Chuma comes back. I think he's definitely going to come back. You know, into the training camp. Fam, I do think Chuma Akeke is probably going to come to training camp. So I got this graphic that I am going to bring up as well on Mike Brown. It's a good update. I think a really, really key, important update, fam, on this one, which is something we really, really need to improve on when it comes to last season's, follies. Isaac, yeah, we need to spell a rest for Brunson. Right now, Colex, in line to get a shot, but Clarkson and Deuce can play a lot of off-ball as well. So we do have pretty, solid versatility. I just think another ball handler with good size would be great. Deuce is 6'2". Some say 6'1". These measurements are always tricky. Clarkson is 6'3". Deuce McBride, Brunson 6'2". I think bringing another 6'5" point guard would be a good look. I know some of y'all really wanted us to get Lonzo Ball. A lot of injury question marks over Lonzo. But that's a situation where, if it does pan out, great addition. So yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Got this graphic, courtesy of a great story. Chris Herring, who used to cover the New York Knicks for the Wall Street Journal, got his start and wrote some great pieces covering the Knicks, covering ESPN now. Dropped this yesterday on what we can expect from Mike Brown, our new head coach, right? Film sessions are big time with Mike Brown, and correcting errors, man. He'll call players out in our film sessions. He'll also talk about what went wrong in press conferences, and he won't try to embarrass a player, but he'll call them out in terms of what went wrong, what we can do better, and a play that didn't go the right way. But in terms of practice, first of all, we told our guys, if somebody catches the ball and their back is to the basket, foul them. And then they dribble for 8 seconds and we didn't foul them, Brown said. The second thing is, if you're up 3, just guard your guy at the 3-point line, ignore the drive. There should be no closeout opportunity, because they know the only thing that can hurt us is the 3. So that's attention to detail. That's the things that the New York Knicks failed at some of the critical points in last season, right? People not being on the same page, people not guarding the 3 when you're up 3. Little things like that. Give up the 2. It's a 3-point league and teams can come back hitting the 3 on y'all. So I like this from Mike Brown. He stresses these details. Also, if somebody catches the ball back to the basket, foul them. And a lot of the Kings players made some mistakes, and yeah, Mike Brown was calling them out. So with more practice, I think we're going to iron out some of these issues, fam, with Cat, Brunson, and getting on the same page with these guys. Yeah, Clarkson's definitely not 6'5", fam. I think he's reportedly 6'3". If Clarkson's 6'5", man, he definitely doesn't look it. Richard says would love to see Colex slide into the backup spot officially. Um, yeah, Ryan Rollins is a solid young player, I think, but the Bucks they need a lot more experience right now. I do think Giannis is eventually going to ask out, man. He's just teasing right now, man. He's just stringing it out. Um, making moves. The Bucks, they've got no chance to compete. They've got no shot to compete out east. Um, when is that shoe gonna drop? Um, now on the LeBron situation, it does look like his camp is trying to pressure the Lakers like he always used to do, and it looks like the Lakers just don't care right now because he's 41 this season, and they got Luka, and they're building around Luka right now, and they probably know realistically in their heart of hearts that they're not a championship contender right now, and LeBron can't really play 80 games no more either. So, eventually, I don't know, LeBron might play out one more year. What do y'all think? And be an unrestricted free agent. I think that's probably best for LeBron anyway, man. Do the farewell tour in LA one more year, and then if he plans to play one more year, he's a free agent. Then he can choose wherever the heck he wants to go. But the problem is he opted in to the $50 million deal. And so who's going to trade for a guy that's got maybe one, maybe 2 more years and, has a $50 million salary? That's tough right now, man. These guys want their money and their cake and eat it too. Once the Knicks says the Knicks signed Yabu, what do y'all think about that? I'm waiting to see. I'm high on the pickup, given the money available. A lot of Sixers fans pissed off that he was able to leave and join a rival. So it's good news for me, but I just don't think he's. I'm trying to stay cautiously optimistic. I think some people are hyping it up a bit too much. He's not a defensively minded guy, but offensively he's going to help us a lot. So a really, really good value pickup. If you can continue to drop the three and attack the drives and be good in transition, 80% in transition is big time. I do think his ability to act like a wing in a big's body will help out Josh Hart a lot. I think some of y'all might be owing Josh Hart an apology at some point this season because he was having to do too much. Hart get back to basics, getting back to what he is great at, but without the pressures of playing 40 minutes and grabbing every rebound. Basically playing the three more. Hart playing the power forward role was out of his scope. And he's going to do whatever the team needs, but he already voiced his thoughts about playing the four, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's not his preferred position right now, and he's not a shooting guard. He needs to play the three. I think does Hart. So yeah, the Knicks are turning a new leaf. They ain't mortgaging the future for these old heads. Kevin Durant, see you later, and LeBron James, you can stay in LA right now. We have a strong core in the East that's super weak. Let's go for it. We got the championship in our sights this season, man. And one thing I really liked hearing about the Mike Brown hiring is that he was high on the job. Like, this is a guys that just got paid out in Sacktown. He's got $14 million still coming after the payout. But he really, really wanted this job ahead of the other guys, He's a competitor, and he didn't like how he went out in Sacramento. Got to the NBA Finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers early in his career after winning Coach of the Year in 2009, and has unfinished business. And I think we have to look at it like he overachieved. He overachieved with Sacramento last year, winning Coach of the Year and finishing in the 2 seed. with their squad. I mean, it was average at best. You know, Fox, Sabonis, great players, but the rest of the roster right now was nothing close to what we have here. And I think this team could coach itself on autopilot and still make 50 wins and still be an Eastern Conference finalist. So Mike Brown comes in to a different situation. It's hard to describe, but right now I feel like we're in the end game. Mike Brown's joining this squad, not like Sacramento, where he built that from the ground up. The foundations are here, and it's very strong. And Mike Brown's coming in where it's the end game stage, where we just need that push. We need to just get pushed over the hump and get over the finish line. And I think his regimented practices, detail-driven, oriented film sessions, and more creative offense, more pace and space, I think that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough to get us to the NBA Finals. Right? We don't need a coaching legend to come in the building. I think we're already at the end game level. We just need someone to just, push us that one step further. Richard says, Yabu, huge addition to the team. His ability to set good screens is sorely missed. Great comment, Richard. Yeah, agree. Let me bring up this training video, man. Yabu built like a truck, man. And he brings work ethic, strength, versatility, all of that. You see him dunk on LeBron for real, but right now, one of the strongest players in the league, I think, physically, and got good foot speed. So I was listening to Locked On Sixers with Keith Pompey, who covers Philly with the Philadelphia Inquirer, and they were talking about, they did a whole podcast on losing Yabusele, and that's how you know it's a loss for the other team. When they're doing a podcast about a player leaving, I think they're going to feel the effects. They were talking about Yabusele being, sneaky quick off the dribble and good foot speed and light on his feet. Yeah, and like you said, with the screens, that's going to be huge. What's good, Troy? What about DeLon Wright, 6'5"? He was productive when he was on the court, and this was a +1 this season. He was a +1 during the season. Great comment too. I like DeLon Wright. I wouldn't be mad at it. Like I said, I do feel like we need to fill one of the final spot with a big or a point guard. I think we've got enough wings, You got McCullough, Dardier, you got a couple of the drafted guys as well. They're wings. I'll be okay giving the final 2 spots to Najee and DeLon Wright, or DeLon Wright and somebody else. But I do think Shamet might be a double up. Because look, I like Shamet, and I'm not saying it's because of his game, but like I said earlier, you got McCullough and Dardier. When are they going to get a shot? If they don't get a chance now, they'll never get any minutes. You use the draft pick on those guys. So it's got to be next man up. And you got to develop. That's one thing Mike Brown's been told. You must develop. And you must pay attention to the guys on the end of the bench. Something does tell me Landry will get a solid deal as well somewhere, if it's not us. AP says, yeah, they're mad out in Philly. They had to bring back B-ball Paul Reed. I know Paul Reed's in Detroit, sorry. They're stuck with Drummond. They're stuck with Andre Drummond right now for $10 million as well. We basically got Yabu, I think, for the same price or less than Drummond. Yeah, he's a different kind of player, not defensively minded. But like I said, guys, guess what? We're tapping into the offensive strengths of the players right now. If Yabu can hit 4 threes a game, good luck to anybody trying to guard us right now. Good luck. You know, 3-point percentage is one thing, but we didn't get enough attempts under Tibbs. You know, just getting those attempts up can frustrate the defense. You know, can make the defense work. And with Yabu and Cat, you're looking at 2 guys above the break that can actually hit it. And then we already know we got OG and we got McCall in the corners as well. Jordan Clarkson in the corners, fam. Look at that. 47% from the left corner, 41% from the right corner is Jordan Clarkson. If he's on the court with Deuce McBride, with Yabusele, Cat, and Mikal Bridges, man, that's a 5-out lineup. That's a 5-out lineup with the bench. iGamer, yeah, I could see Deuce playing more off ball. The good thing is I think Clarkson will assume more of the ball handling with the second units. But yeah, if it's not Kolek, I think we could do with another veteran ball handler. Keep an eye out on Brogdon, although I do think Brogdon or Russell Westbrook as well. I think Russ has interest in joining the Knicks, so you know that the Knicks are definitely on his radar, and he wants to join a contender, but I don't think Russ is going to come because, you know, he won't get as many minutes as, you know, as he could get somewhere else. You know, I do think Russ will want more minutes. The same thing I'm hearing about Ben Simmons, you know. If Ben Simmons is coming, it should be to be the 9th man. But I think he wants to be closer to that, you know, 6th or 7th man, which I think is a little bit out of bounds, given the fact that his last few seasons have been shocking. Right now, he should be happy to be in the league. Right now, no love for campaign at the moment. I see a couple people talk about campaign over the last few days, but not with the New York Knicks. Right? So some deals still to be confirmed. July 6th, Dennis Schroeder, looking like he could be, you know, joining Russ in Sacktown. Does look like CP3 is going to join the Clippers. I'm cool with all those guys staying out west. I think, man, the East has never been wide open right now. I think we are going to eat in the East, right? You know, no hyperbole with that. Yeah, building blocks, there's no room for Cam. What are my thoughts on Barber? Yeah, that's an interesting name. Where was he at? He was with Phoenix, right? He reminds me a little bit of like Chetty Osman. He's kind of like a 6. What is Barber? He's like a 6'7" guy. 6'7" ball handler. I think we are going to go for more experience. I think that's the missing ingredient, man. I like our youth core. I think we got a nice group of young players. You know, we got a nice amount, a nice group. Adding more young players is going to be tricky. I could only see the Knicks trying to look at veterans right now. And by all reports, with reports of Russ, you know, Simmons, Boucher, some of these links, they've all been vets. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, Seth Curry, some issues defensively. Lionel says Precious Achua campaign gone. Laker fans want Precious, Brandon. Yeah, I saw that. They're uploading highlights of Precious Achua dunks, which is cool for them. Hey, the Precious Achua experience can be cool for 30% of the time, but what about the other 70%? Jason Benjamin with the super chat. Appreciate it, Jason. Great to see you. Give me McCullough and sign Simmons for defense, in my opinion. I agree. I would agree, man. Um, like I said, I'm not a Simmons fan, but I just think if he's open to taking a small role, I think the size, the perimeter defense would be exceptional in the playoffs. If we can work through some of the other issues, McCullough as well, I think would be a great addition to the rotation. Yeah, Barber's a bit an older guy as well, 29. Yeah, good experience too. Um, I think I would prefer Lonnie Walker, to be honest, fam. I do know Delano Banton, Jabari Walker's out there, Chuma Okeke. I know people were asking about TJ Warren, Mook Morris. Um, Maybe that's something to look out for, guys. We do know Mook Morris was promised a deal last season, and the Knicks reneged on that deal by his reports. Um, After the Cat trade, the Knicks changed course of direction. But Mook Morris is only 35, so I don't think he's done yet in the league. I do think Mook Morris is going to join a squad. Um, he got a little year off doing ESPN. But I think Mook Morris could still be a better version of PJ Tucker in terms of a locker room guy, but can also play still. Man, I'm keenly looking out for what happens with Malik Beasley. Is that Look, rivalry aside, I hate to see these kind of things where players just can ruin their life in such a advantageous position. About to get paid as well. Gambling problems. Seek help if you think you might have some issues coming up, or you know of someone. It can definitely ruin your life right now, and it's another cautionary tale with Malik Beasley and his financial problems. But for the Knicks fan in me, out east, Detroit have definitely got weaker with that situation, and no sympathy for me in regards to Detroit losing out on a guy. They've got Duncan Robinson, obviously, but I don't think he was good as Malik Beasley was, last season. Uh, Now, I do think, like I said last night, the biggest additions with Mike Brown, Clarkson, and Yabusele is toughness. They are going to bring a mindset that we didn't have last year. I think we were a little bit relaxed. We were a little bit chill last season in that locker room. Maybe a little too comfortable with familiar voice and Thibodeau and the Villanova guys and Cat. I think there's going to be a little bit of a shake-up with Clarkson coming in, a veteran that wants to win and has got a mindset where he'll fight. He wants to mix it up. Yabusele as well. Body slam Dante Exum in Europe. Physical, will dunk on y'all as well. Will set good screens. He's coming here to win. And also Mike Brown. Like I said, this guy wants to get back into the league. He's already getting paid out from Sacramento. He could have chilled. He could have taken a couple of years off and chill, but nah, he was, by reports, the most enthusiastic to take this job and win a championship with the Knicks. And he's a smart man because Mike Brown got a resume where it's kind of like close to Hall of Fame, but not yet. I think if he wins a championship as a head coach, maybe even gets a couple of seasons of winning and gets to the finals, he could be a Hall of Fame coach right now. So Mike Brown's coaching for his resume right now, and he knows that we can win. But Yabusele is already texting former teammates Tyrese Maxey, telling him that we're going to win 4 times this season against Philadelphia. He ain't lying, He ain't lying. I do think we are definitely going to bully Philly. Gary Harris went on the move. Mook Morris, I think he could play some more for as well. Not my first choice, but just something to look out for. Like I said, the fact that we were promised him a deal last season, but maybe that boat has sailed. Space Ghost says Monte Morris. Yeah, I haven't heard any updates on Monte, so I think he's a guy who's still out there. Buzzer says, I think this will be our final roster. Yeah, so there's a good case to make because for those that don't know, Yabusele has the same agent as our latest draft pick, Mohamed Diawara. The same agent. So maybe it was a 2-for-1. Leon Rose does love some 4D chess, right? You get Yabusele at a slightly lower number to fit under the second apron, and guess what? We'll draft your boy late in the second round, and you can make some money that away. So we're finding ways to to add talent by any means possible, any legal means possible. So I can understand. It's an agent world, and Leon Rose knows that. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. Yabusele comes to the New York Knicks. Reports coming out today that he might have taken a lesser number than the full taxpayer mid-level, just so that we can squeeze another veteran on the squad and draft Mohamed Diawara, his other client, as well. Hey, the money's coming in either way for that agent. Barber's the ball handling wing, the Japanese prospect. The Japanese, not prospect, the Japanese talent is a guard wing, but really, really good size and some ball handling as well. Yep. I guess he could be a Ben Simmons comparison in terms of ball handling and defense. Now, where do you think Dame's going to end up, right? First, I heard that he's going to go out west and maybe join, go back home. But now we're hearing that he's going to join the Boston Celtics, or there's mutual interest right now. Super close to Jason Tatum. Those two can rehab together their Achilles, and they can obviously, join forces after next season and become a contender again. Damian Lillard maybe solving the point guard issues with Boston. I think look out for that. But obviously another key thing to look out for, like I said before, guys, is Dallas. The Dallas Mavericks are at 16 players right now. And a young wing, Omax Prosper, is available right now. Chris Boucher is available. Bradley Beal's going to get bought out. But Omax Prosper is going to be on the block. I feel if you can get him, they re-sign Dante Exum, and they have to shed one contract right now. We could literally sign and trade PJ Tucker, and they can waive him and save that money. So they clear that roster spot. They get PJ Tucker and some picks. They waive PJ Tucker, and we could get Omax. That'd be a Brock Aller, Leon Rose Thibodeau, Leon Rose Brock Aller kind of move. We'll see how that plays out, fam. You guys are buzzing right now. Everyone in the building, smash that like button. We've got some breaking news as well. Josh Giddey getting the bag. Just looking for confirmation on that. Now, Jake Fisher's been reporting that the Knicks are active, talking to veterans. We were a team that expressed interest in DeAndre Ayton. The Russell Westbrook sweepstakes is between Sacramento and the Knicks, reports Jake Fisher. So I think he's going to choose Sacramento because of the minutes. But it does tell you that the Knicks aren't playing games. The Knicks are going all in this year. This is our best chance, I think, at a championship since 1994. When you look at the East, you look at this team right now. That's why we brought in an inexperienced coach, because we're at the end game stage now. We want to capitalize. We could have gone the younger coach route and let them cook, let them get their feet wet for a season or two. But that would be a little bit risky because if you feel like you're ready to win now, you feel like you're ready to win now, and you just got to go for it. And you need a coach that's been, been in that seat, been in that hot seat. Taylor Jenkins, Johnny Bryan, and that the heat could just been too much for those guys. Brandon, so yeah, Jake Fisher does great work for Bleacher Report. He has his own channel. For those that don't know, Jake Fisher does live streams like this where he will talk to the chat. You could ask him questions in the chat and he'll answer. So yeah, a lot of people were asking him, and he was bouncing off his latest live stream chat. Jake Fisher hosting the Bleacher Report streams. He was talking about it. So yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, it just things look a little bit unfinished. I think they just want to tie a ribbon or tie a bow on this roster and this off season. There might be one or two more moves to come. Well, there has to be because we need to fill two more spots. But yeah, I do feel like they're looking at a vet. What do y'all think the reaction's going to be if it is Ben Simmons? Would y'all welcome him with open arms? Would y'all be frustrated? Wait and see kind of thing? Kaminga, yeah, Jake Fisher said that is going to take time. I think they're going to drag that out. I think the problem is when you're one of the last free agents left and the money's dried up, man, it can drag on like into the dark days of free agency. Y'all remember Precious Achua? I think we had to wait it was like the third or fourth week of free agency, maybe even longer than that. And we still didn't find out whether or not Precious was coming back. He's Jake Fisher on one of his streams as well, fam. Yep, I'll mention here. He tweets out. Yep, he talked about the Knicks a lot. He talked about Jordan Clarkson. The Miami Heat are looking at Kaminga, most likely landing spot. That's not Golden State. To my understanding, the Heat are involved in several things as well. So he might not even be necessarily their top option. The Heat have been awfully quiet right now. They're stuck in purgatory and stuck in the middle. No Simmons, says Eddie. Darren says I'd welcome him in. JM3 says I'm good with Simmons on the team. Jimmy says Simmons good for D. We buzzing, analog, salute. Richard says no to Simmons. Yeah, look, it's tough, man. Locker room is a big part of this, the front office's decision-making process. You got a lot of chill guys in Brunson, Cat, OG, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal. I don't know if we want to upset the apple cart. And especially, these guys lay it all out there. We definitely need a guy that's not going to, duck it. I do know that Simmons likes West Coast. He loves LA. I think he lives out there in the off seasons. I'll be surprised if he doesn't stay in LA somewhere or California. Buzzer CT, what is your win prediction for the upcoming season? 60 wins? Man, it's tough to give the final prediction right now, but I'll give you my current day prediction, and I think I'm looking at 55. I think 55 is a good number, man. Double nickel. I'm not a fan of going all out in the regular season. I think last season taught us a lot when it comes to looking at Boston and Cleveland and all of that. You don't want to drain yourself, You don't want to empty the clip come regular season because it doesn't mean as much as some people think. You just want to get out unscathed, get to the finish line healthy and then reset. Because I think the season's broken up into 3 seasons. You got the regular season, you've got the postseason, and then you've got the finals. Right, it's 3 stages. Right, we all saw the finals, man. How dragged out it was. You get a couple days rest between every game. You get maybe a week's even rest before the finals begin. So you've got to get to the finish line, regular season healthy, just being a decent seed, I think, and then you attack the second stage of the season and get through the first 2 rounds. And yeah, I don't see any advantage in winning 60. I just don't. It sounds great and it sounds awesome. And of course, it's great for the fans, great for the content, winning games and that. But I do think that it's not as important as it used to be. Augustine says, yeah, let him stay out west. Analog says no to Simmons. JM says 52. Jimmy says 50. Yep, salute. Less minutes for guys, more efficiency. I think the process over the results is the most important thing. If we cross the I's, dot the T, cross the T's, dot the I's, we'll find ourselves in better situations late in the game, where we're not hustling to get a game tying 3 just to get us the win. We literally had to crawl through the mud just to get some wins last season, and it should be a lot easier by process this year. Pace and space, get more possessions, take care of the ball, be better in transition, shoot more threes, recycle the minutes so that guys are coming in and out more fresh, and go deeper into the bench, and expand the playbook. But I do think there are going to be some similarities, because I tell you, Mike Brown loves the dribble handoff action. He did a lot with Sabonis and Fox. So I think reports came out where Mike Brown excelled in the interview process was where he was, fully. He was fully prepared. He had a whole plan for Brunson and Cat. He was big on the pairing and the duo, and I felt like that's what won him the job. Because if you're the front office, that's music to your ears. You don't have to do a no overhaul. If the coach is coming in saying, "Yep, I can make it work. I've got a plan to utilize Brunson and Cat 2-man games," and guess what? I had success with the same thing with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis as well. I made those guys. Mike Brown can say that. He made Sabonis. Al Tango says, CT, Knicks added Barber. You know this player? Did we add him? What, is this breaking news? Are y'all breaking news right now? Or do y'all want us to add Barber? I'm not seeing nothing at the moment. I know there's a lot of reports coming in and out. Some fake reports sometimes. So we'll confirm that. But yeah, I like Barber. I like his game. Good size, good vet. I'll be down for it. What's up, D'Angelo? What's good? We're buzzing right now. Jimmy says fake news. Yeah, as I expected. Webb, Summer League edition. Okay. We add Barber to Summer League. That'd be cool as well. Jason says Simmons ain't a winning player. Does not fit the culture. Yeah, that's a point as well, fam. I'm really torn, man. I think he's probably the most polarizing player I've ever seen right now, Ben Simmons, man. How do y'all go from just being a number 1 draft pick? And just to put this in perspective, guys, it's closer to me because Ben Simmons is from, my city, born in, the same city I'm from, same area, come across him, flirted with playing for the national team, continues to duck that. draft #1 overall with Philly. FSU didn't even make the tournament, gets drafted #1, becomes an All NBA All Star with Philly, falls off falls off the face of the earth. I know there was a lot of back injuries, and it's just puzzling how a player can just do that and just lose their abilities. And I think he just got the yips. You've seen it in other sports; it can happen mentally. Formula One drivers, golfers, tennis players, where you just double fault and you lose your mind right now. I think Ben Simmons has just lost his edge. He's a role player right now. I've never seen an All NBA player capitulate in their primes. But I did say this yesterday. To his credit, he's still in the league. If you're still in the league, I mean, you're still in the league. There's a lot of talent that continues to bounce around, and he's 6'10", can play make still and defend, and that'll keep y'all in the league. I think he ranks 7th in the league in corner 3 assists last season. So he can be impactful still. He's just got to take a lesser role, whichever team he's on right now. Bless up yours truly. Okay, yeah, man, appreciate it. So Barber, yeah, NBL champ. NBL champ. AP says, CT, do you think the Knicks could beat OKC or the Rockets? Definitely can. I said all throughout this season, it's harder to repeat. Everyone's talking about how much better the OKC are going to get, but they're not accounting for a hunger drop off. Once you've been to the top of the mountain, it's hard to stay there, guys. So I'm not saying OKC is going to completely fall off, but it's tough. It's tough to repeat. All it takes is the Denver Nuggets or the Rockets' hunger to come up and knock them off the perch. And then if the Knicks can get through the East, it's an open shot at the chip coming into the NBA Finals, as the New York Knicks are the second favorite right now. Styles make fights, matchups as well. Now, one advantage to adding Mike Brown, this guy's been, coaching out West for a hot minute. He knows the West. He knows the West well. So that'll help us a lot. And obviously our current players, have got the East on lock right now. And I know everything looks on paper right now with Durant and the Rockets upgrades, but when the season starts, man, anything can happen. That's why we play the games. Kevin Durant something could happen to him. He's 37. Steven Adams couldn't stay healthy a lot. Things can happen. Same with ATL. Porzingis looks to be a good acquisition, but tell me the last time Porzingis was healthy. When you needed him the most. And so everybody got question marks, until the season starts. And our question marks are Cat, Mitchell Robinson, how the new coach is going to look and all of those things. But I like what we've done so far, man. Our off season, I'm giving it an A- at the moment. Has the ability to go up to an A right now. I like what we're doing for Summer League. Jordan Brink coming in as a younger-minded coach on the come-up. Working with the young fellas last season on the bench with the video aspect. Remember when Spoelstra came up, he was the video coordinator as well. So these guys are watching the film and had a high success rate with the challenge calls last season, and has a good body of work so far, coming from Detroit as well, working with D Rose. I think he's going to be locked in working with Tyler Cardiac. Right. I think a decision needs to be made on Tyler Cardiac after Summer League. Fam, what do y'all think about that? I like Dink Pate. I think he could take Summer League by storm. I like those guys undrafted that come in with a chip. You know, y'all remember Lou Dort, Austin Reeves, Alonzo Trier. A lot of those guys with talent that go undrafted. They remember names, you know, the names of guys that got taken ahead of them. And Dink Pate got to be like, man, I couldn't get drafted number 59. You know, they think he's better than me. And wait till Summer League comes when it's level. It's, you know, the draft's finished now. It doesn't really matter where you were selected. If you're coming in hungry and you've got the game and you're athletic, I think Dink Pate could could definitely shock some people, especially with this young core together now. I like what we're doing. Also, the news, the top of the show, confirmation that the Knicks are bringing back Rick Brunson, most likely Darren Erman, Mo Cheeks, Mark Bryant, and obviously Jordan Brink as well. So a lot of familiar coaches coming back to add continuity, you know, to add that continuity on the sideline. But Rick Brunson is taking a step back and a lesser role from what he used to have as Tibbs' assistant, and Mike Brown is going to be able to hire his lead assistant. And so far, a name that's been thrown out there is Phil Handy. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get James Borrego, unfortunately, because it would be a sideways move for the Pelicans, and they're not going to let him go unless we can add, you know, some compensation maybe. Mr. Dones says, Dice, man, gonna miss Dice, but definitely he's gonna stick with Tibbs. Buzzer beat us. How many guys do we have signed now? 12 guys, and we need to get to the 14. But we can wait 2 weeks into the season. You can go a maximum 2 weeks under the minimum quota. So 12 guys looking to get to that 14 number, and we can add one rookie, one new player into the league on a new contract, whether it be McCullough, Diawara, or Naji. And we can add one veteran as well. We can add one more veteran. So that's why we're still talking to veterans. And until July 6 comes, all of these cap numbers that you're seeing, you know, they could be wrong. We don't know the official cap numbers until July 6 when the signings are made. And we'll find out. Hopefully that Yabusele has signed for slightly less, which will allow, you know, by reports that we can still squeeze another veteran in. I think, which is going to be good. Maybe 2 veterans. Who knows how much less he takes. We might be able to sign a cheaper veteran, like a guy on a 2-year service or a 3-year kind of service as well. And don't rule out the sign and trade, as Brock Aller and Leon Rose love the sign and trade. We still have Precious Achua's cap hold. Fam. And also, I know we rescinded or declined PJ Tucker's offer, but you know, there's still the possibility of doing a sign and trade. I would look at a Chris Boucher or an Omax Prosper out there. I would love us to get Delano Banton as well. But if not, I think we'll be looking at another point guard. I'd be surprised if Russ comes, but I mean, the interest is there. Yeah, definitely, Wayne. I think Yabusele signed slightly less. I think that's the rumors coming out. Because look at connect the dots. You know, we drafted his boy in the second round, his agent. We drafted his agent's client in the second round, man. So we are we're mending fences with all agents, man. Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, Olivier Mazet out of France, that key France power agent. We've got his clients on the books now. Hopefully these guys can do us a favor. Yeah, Tibbs wants to get back in the league. Lou says it can only be a vet of a lower pay scale than 2.4 milli, 7 years or less. Yeah, something along those lines. So it might rule out Shamit. But if Yabusele can take a little bit of a haircut, that could be a possibility. We could always do a consolidation trade, swap one of our rookies for another cheaper rookie. I mean, until we see Kolek and Dardier get real minutes, there'll be a possibility of maybe a consolidation. We did draft a few young fellas now. And when you're contending, there's only so many young guys you can carry, right? We're expected to go into a deep season once again, 100 plus games. That's what I said earlier about these two-way contracts. I think the NBA needs to tweak that. I like the NBA introducing the two ways, but just release the restrictions on the games. Instead of 45 games, make it 60 and make it playoff eligible. It makes no sense how you can carry two-way players, but they're not playoff eligible. To me, that doesn't make sense. Let those brothers play. If there's a couple of injuries in the playoffs, how nice would it have been to bring on Marjan Beauchamp, in the Indiana series if we needed, or the Detroit series. Campaign can't find his shot, struggling. Bring on one of the other two ways. The NBA loves innovating and bringing these ideas like the challenge call and that, but they blow it. They can't make it perfect. Dirty says, I can't believe how many CAA coaches they're bringing back. I didn't peep how many are with CAA, but yeah, you could be right. Relationships matter as well, though. I did hear when the Thibodeau firing was coming in, a lot of the assistant coaches were very worried about their jobs, So don't forget, they're not on the same money as, as the guys like Tibbs. Yeah, Analog Man, let's go. Analog Man podcast. I like the photo of the starting five. Yeah, if you have a different starting five, give us your shout. Let us know. Who would you start? I like Deuce McBride playing alongside Bronson. I just think we're a little too small, and then that means Karl Anthony Towns is your five, and I don't want Karl Anthony Towns playing too much five, and so that's the problem with starting Deuce. If you start Deuce, Cat gets pushed forward one spot to be the five. So I think for positional size, Mikal being the 2, OG being the 3, and I think we could throw some killer lineups out there on defense in terms of zone. I think that's how you can hide Cat on defense, fam. You can hide him with the zone. Mitchell Robinson can protect the hoop and grab those rebounds as well. Thoughts on Amir Coffee for the vet minimum? 100%. Sign me up. Sign me up. I think that would be a value add. Wayne also adds that CT, the other two-way contracts, should come with a maximum minutes agreement. Yeah. That's a good shout as well. And I think they will. I think they'll continue to add things, and they talk about expansion, but that's not the only way to add players into the league. Even if they don't play, How many players on the fringes would be grateful just to be in the NBA and say, "Hey, I'm on a roster and I can work on my game, I can practice, and I'm getting paid." The NBA needs to expand the rosters. Make it a 20-man roster. Like, look at the NFL, man. How deep are the NFL rosters? And they put a squeeze on the NBA rosters to 15. Y'all want more games, more injuries? Okay, then give us more players on the bench, and we can shuffle the lineups. Every team can sign more development guys and actually play them. And less veterans get squeezed out of the league. Yeah, Sean, I agree. The bench is small, so I think something's going to happen. Um, that's why I'm really thinking Landry might not be back, or McCullough might not get the final roster spot, because between McCullough and Dardier, there's a little double up with Shamet. If Shamet doesn't come back and we get another point guard or a big, then it makes more sense. But just between Shamet, McCullough, and Dardier, three guys that play similar positions, and not all of them are going to get minutes. So I think there might be a numbers crunch coming. Dirty says, Deuce at the 2, it does force the centers to guard Cat, though, so that's my preference. Yeah, there is a positive in that. Offensively, Cat, I think at the 5, we saw his domination with the post-ups, dribble, drive, attack as well, Dirty. Another positive is the foul trouble. If Cat does get foul trouble, you bring on Mitch. If Mitch is playing with Cat gets into foul trouble, then it makes things a little more tricky to avoid the foul trouble minutes. But that's why Yabusele was a perfect fit, was a perfect signing, and a great fit. Great question from Buzzer. Over under Mitch plays 55. I'm going to say over. Let's keep it good vibes, optimistic. I think he might play less minutes. 25 is cool, and I think Mitch has been healthy for a while now. Shout out to Casey Smith again, our award-winning training doctor. Brought health to the squad last season. Shout out to him. Shout out for the club to bring back Mitch slowly and keeping things cautious, and he was able to stay healthy. So I'm going to say over. Super chat coming in from NYC B-Ball 08. My guy, salute. Have you heard any new rule changes for this upcoming season? That's a question, man. Great one. Let me think on that for a second, man. I feel like there's been something mentioned, but not confirmed. I feel like it's going to be well. There was a small change at the beginning of this season, which was out of bounds being able to be reviewed without using a challenge. So that was innovative. Coaches didn't need to waste a challenge to review an out of bounds play. Let's add more of that, more sensical stuff. How about, and I don't think this is confirmed, but I would tweak the challenge situation, give a coach one challenge in the first half, no matter what, and give them one coach challenge for the second half. Eliminate the keeping if you win or lose, but just give you one in the first half, one in the second half. That's what I would change, fam. But outside of that, man, I would bring back hand checking. What do y'all think? I think that would allow the referees to officiate the game with more clarity if we bring back hand checking. Because right now players are hand checking anyway, but sometimes they're calling it, sometimes they won't call it in the playoffs. If you just bring back hand checking, it makes officiating that much easier, in my opinion. and we eliminate the flopping and all of that. Altango says we have enough bigs to rest Mitch. Yep, definitely. I like the add of Yabu. Richard says 5-out lineup with Cat, Yabu, OG, Macau, JB. That's scary hours right now. Definitely. And I really think like Mike Brown is going to do wonders with Cat, help Mitch. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Mike Brown can do and Mark Bryant can continue to do with Huck Porty. You know, you want to stay below the second apron. Huck Porty's a guy that, if he elevates, maybe it allows them flexibility with Mitchell Robinson in the future. If not, Huck Porty can continue to, be a valuable backup. You stole him with the 58th pick and the final pick last year, and that could be a key thing in the future. Develop him into a rotation big. Don't forget, Mike Brown, got a lot out of Sabonis, and I see a lot of similarities with Huck Porty. Not saying he's going to be the level of the Sabonis, and he's not going to be an all-star or that kind of guy, but they have similar skills in terms of short roll, dribble handoff, good screens, passing skills, can play back to the basket, post up, little hook shot, things like that. I think Huck Porty has got, some of that in his game. David M., in terms of the starting five, I think we're going to start with Mitch on opening night. I think we are going to start with this starting five on opening night. That's just my prediction. It could go anyway. I think we obviously saw the playoffs, and Mike Brown would have, seen a lot of that play out. A lot of success, against Boston. Double big lineups. Cat can shoot the threes a lot more, and Mitchell Robinson's there to grab the rebound. If Cat's your five and he's shooting the volume threes that we want him to shoot, then we're going to struggle rebounding because there's going to be no big man, to grab the rebounds, and Josh Hart won't be in the starting five. Mikal Bridges is not a strong rebounder right now, and Brunson's small. Also, I think on D, I think your best chance to hide Karl Anthony Towns on D is at the power forward. Help you with the zone. He could guard the corner man a little bit. If there's a blow by, Mitchell Robinson's there as a help defender, and OG is there as a secondary help defender as well, with Mitchell Robinson's length. So I'm no coaching expert, but that's how I would try to hide Cat, right? Try to hide Cat on a smaller man, right? Do some zone a little, guard the corner man a little, and bring the double. If Cat's in trouble, you've got two long defenders in OG and Mitch, coming to help as a help defender out there. If the problem is if Cat's the five and he gets beat, there's no Mitch on the floor, and OG's already scrambling, to be that help defender right now. Brunson's not a help defender. Mikal Bridges is already out on the perimeter. So that's the way I would go. But obviously, I think that's what Ian Begley suggested as well. And if you're looking at why we signed Yabusele and why we picked up Huck Porty's option on the first day of free agency, all the clues are right there, fam. All the hints are right there that we're trying to play more bigs. Great question from AP. Do you think Mike Brown could use Mitch in a different way? Yeah, I think double drag. Mike Brown loves to play double drag a little. So obviously another great screen setter. Brunson and Clarkson and that Deuce are going to be able to get downhill. Macau as well. Mitchell Robinson does have to get better with his screen setting, but obviously he's a lot better than Cat. And then, yeah, the pick and roll lob threat. Um, keep it basic. Keep it basic with Mitch. He's a demon on the glass. Um, you know, a strong finisher. But yeah, is a great screen setter and roll man as well. Keith says this lineup is legit. Yeah, I think the best roster that Mike Brown will have ever coached as a head coach, definitely. I think he's just come in to see us through to the finish line right now, man. The heavy lifting has been done, you know, and I want to give respect to Tibbs because, look, the roster improved every year, but Tibbs helped us along the way. 5 years now, and he, as they say, he set the table. He helped raise the floor, and right now we just got someone to come in to to dish up the meal, and get us over the finish line. We're in the end game now. That's why they're bringing back some of the core assistants for the continuity. I don't think there's going to be a whole heap of changes offensively. He does like dribble handoffs. There will be, a couple of different looks, definitely with the pace and space, and the philosophy of getting the threes up. But I do think there will be some similarities. It ain't like Mike Brown's just going to say, hey, let's scrap everything and start from scratch. If the core is coming back, the core roster, I think, we are gonna see similar sets. We did have a pretty high-powered offense, guys. We were fifth in offense. Uh, Barry Neal, bigger problem hiding Cat on D or Mitch on offense? Man, I think that's a great question. It depends who else is out there with Mitch. You definitely can't play can't play Hart with Mitch. You can't have Mitch and another non-offensive player. So I think if Mitch is the only non-offensive player out there, I think we're okay as long as there's four other shooters. So I would say the bigger problem is hiding Cat. They're going to attack Cat. Teams going to have success trying to do that, especially when Brunson's out there. And so, yeah, that could be where Mike Brown really excels, and how he was able to, show the vision with the coach and the front office, in the interviews, fam. I think we saw some possessions. Like, the thing that was so puzzling was Cat had some good defensive games. They were very few and far between, but Cat had some good defensive games. Was it game one against Detroit? I think game one was against Detroit at MSG. Was probably Cat's best defensive game of the season. He was moving his feet, staying out of foul trouble, got some blocks. I think Cat's a guy that you just got to get him in a position where he doesn't need to, get put out on an island. Switching is big, and help trying to switch off, and maybe a hard hedge, ice as well, but with Cat. And the difference is I think we just need to play a little more zone, just throw the defense off. Because they are going to try to spam pick and roll and attack Cat. But if you throw a couple of different looks in and give them a zone against Indiana, we didn't do that. And Indiana struggled with the zone throughout the season a little bit. Because look, Tyrese Halliburton can't get downhill. When you're throwing a zone out there, it puts up the blockers, for Tyrese. I just don't understand why Tibbs didn't do that a lot more. I think we missed that opportunity. Shout out campaign as well. Yeah, big time game, man. That was the campaign game, and against Minnesota in the regular season, he lit up Minnesota. MJ says Mitch is elite at something on offense, which is offensive rebounding. definitely. I think Mitch, I heard people that were skeptical about Mitch from outside, like Ryan Rosillo and some reporters that cover the league. They don't watch the games like we do. They understood that Mitch was a defensive player, but they didn't really buy in to what Knicks fans were trying to say when we were missing Mitch, and then they got to see what Mitch was doing. And then Ryan Rosillo, said on his podcast, he said, Knicks fans, I get it. You guys were right. Mitchell Robinson was a monster in the playoffs. So he's raised his stock right now. He's set to get a great contract extension, whether it's here or somewhere else. Man, if Mitch stays healthy, he'll get a nice contract. Especially when he's healthy, like he's elite at what he does. And it helps to have shooting around him. It helps to have that shooting. But Key on TV, what's good? Augustine says, hopefully Brown can help Cat and his defense. Defense is all about effort. Yeah, effort, but also paying attention to the details. Maybe it was a case where Tibbs's voice in the huddles, the timeouts, the huddles, they just weren't paying attention, or maybe the voice just, went quiet on them, because everyone seemed to be on the same page sometimes except Cat. Like, those times when OG needed to push Cat to close out, and he just wasn't paying attention, to the details, whether, to avoid the drop. I think the details matter, and that's where accountability comes in. You're the coach, and sometimes you got to show vets that tough love, because it's fine margins between winning and losing. And if everyone's practicing and ready for some certain scheme, but one player's letting them down, one link in the chain is the weak link. That link needs to get out of there, because it can't be letting the other guys down. If everyone's on the same page, we close the games out like we should have. And Mike Brown, like I said, in the film sessions, he'll call people out, but he'll also talk about press conferences post-game. He won't mince words when it comes to calling anybody out. Not to embarrass them, but just to explain how the play broke down. That's what I'm hearing out of the media, that Mike Brown will explain, how things broke down, and there's going to be nowhere to hide now. One thing with respect to Tibbs is that he would cover it up. He wouldn't give the media any explanation. He would just answer the same things with the same words, man. He's like, whatever it is, man, we have enough. We have enough. We should have won. Or we just got to get better. We got to get better. We got to do this. But he wouldn't mention any players by name. He wouldn't describe anything else. Mike Brown, I think the safety blanket is going to come off, especially for some of these vets. I don't think it's going to go bad. I know some people are a little bit nervous over Mike Brown, like maybe stepping on some toes, but like I said, he's come here to finish the job. He's the finisher. Get us over the line right now. And if it means some people's egos got to get bruised, then or teach them up and learn and be harder on the guys, then I think that is better for the team overall. Because I think, yeah, Tibbs was a little too trusting of his guys. Will Brunson move without the ball next year? Yeah, so I think with relation to the bench and Mike Brown, look at Malik Monk, man. He got a lot out of Malik Monk, a lot of great movement off the curl. Scoring lineups we can play with Clarkson together with Brunson, play Brunson off ball. I think that can work a lot. fam. That's one thing. It tires Brunson down to dribble the ball up, full court press. Now Brunson's going to be able to rest on the corners a little, sit on the bench a little longer. Deuce and Clarkson definitely gonna give us a lot more juice, I think, with no campaign here. Dirty Dancer says Guy might be the best offensive rebounder in ever. Yep, tough evaluation. Yep. I think Mitch's feel for the game, his defensive IQ is great, man. Shout out to his coaches and development. I mean, I don't think that gets spoken of enough. Remember when Mitch first came into the league, how ill-disciplined he was? He was jumping on every single pump fake. He was like Cat, but worse. He couldn't stay out of foul trouble. I know he's a vet now, but look at him now. It's like he corrected that real quick. So his defensive IQ got up. But shout out to the coaches. His high school coach travels with him, Butch Stockton, and shout out to him and all the coaches as well. But yeah, Mitch's defensive IQ has gone through the roof. Remember he was trying to block every single shot. He was just attacking every single 3-point shot, fade away. Now he's more calculated. Yeah, Dorcosaurus, 1 through 15. Are we the deepest team 1 through 10? I was thinking about this the other day. I think we are the deepest team 1 through 10. Assuming we sign one more vet, or Huck Pority's the 10th guy, or Shamit, or Kolek. I still think it could be the deepest team in the NBA, 1 through 10, fam. Because you look at a guy like Hart or Yabusele. I mean, they are what? They're the 9th guy. Hart and Yabusele are like the 9th guy. That's deep. Edwin P says we need a nickname for Yabusele. I know, yeah, some people are already going with the Yabu Dabadoo. I like that, Yabuzilla. I'll think of my own one. Yeah, I'll throw out your nicknames. He's definitely going to get the garden fired up. He likes physicality. He likes to mix it up. I think him and Clarkson are going to add. And assuming Hart goes back to the bench, man, we might have our new Mob Deep. Man, how many Mob Deeps have we had? This would be 3.0. The original Mob Deep with Novak, J.R. Smith. Who else was on that bench, man? This is definitely a level up. Horford, yeah, Horford I was looking at earlier. Soldier says Yaya. Yaya's cool. AP, are we deeper than OKC or Houston though? Look, it's close. It's close. I think we are. I think our bench is slightly deeper, and our starting 5 is as well. And look, just for some facts to back that up, the Knicks were the only team in the NBA last season to have 2 all-star starters. Obviously it helps that the East is weaker and those guys play 2 different positions, but front court and back court. But Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, man, no other team had 2 all-star starting players. So I think our starting 5 is as deep as it gets. And our bench has got to be, among the deepest benches out here now. I mean, Clarkson would be the 6th man on most teams, but we already had a 6th man from last year, Deuce McBride. And Yabusele started so many games for Philly. He could be a 6th man version as well. So yeah, patience in the chat. I'm bringing up the barber. I'm bringing up the Barber updates, fam. So looks like I've mistakenly Barber's the point guard. I said earlier he was a wing. Correct myself. That was another Japanese player I was thinking of, man. So yeah, Barber is with the New York Knicks, right? Very diminutive. So Barber is, how tall is he, man? He's 29, coming out of the Japan League, the B League, but he also played NBL. So I'm very familiar with the NBL, his game, and I'll tell you why he's on the squad in a minute. So he's okay. No, he's a decent height, 6'5". He's listed at 6'5". Is Barber, right? So yeah, Barber had success in the NBL, and as I reported earlier, is that legendary NBL coach Brian Gorgon is running Summer League training camp and assistant for Summer League. And yeah, I'm Australian, living out here at the moment. Spent some time in LA, but living in Australia now. And followed the NBL, covered the NBL a little bit as well. So yeah, Barber's come in. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, playing with the legends. So yeah, Brian Gorgon, who's a 6-time NBL coach, is coming in. And he was going to bring a couple of guys from the NBL. He's bringing Bawali Bales, this 23-year-old Lightning point guard. So he's going to be on our Summer League squad. He's going to be the vet, that vet. And every Summer League squad needs that vet. He's probably going to get spot minutes just to fill the bench out. But hopefully he's not a chuck like Dwayne Washington. But yeah, Bawali Bales is going to be a guy that really helps us out. So yeah, Brian Gorgon, 6-time NBL champ. He's joined the Knicks as an assistant for Summer League. He's the head coach of the Sydney Kings in the NBL currently. And yeah, he's going to bring some of that talent there for the Summer League. And Barber is one of those guys he's familiar with. So yeah, great to see you, Paul, in the house. Salute. Yeah, Luis, I'm looking forward to seeing Tyler in Summer League. But yeah, Dardier is a guy I want to see take that next step, because his defense, his size, versatility is going to be major when it comes to us to Summer League and coming into the season. I have not spent time in Thailand, actually. Have not spent time out there. Definitely on my bucket list, fam. I think Europe is somewhere I want to travel to as well. Dirty says, just one of McCullough, Kolek, or Pack breaks out and our bench will be super elite. Yeah, but also for the future, Dirty, when massaging the second apron when it comes to that, and exercising another blockbuster trade. Consolidation is a lot easier when one of your rookies is ready to step up. Look at Christian Brown out in Denver right now. They lost Bruce Brown, and then Christian Brown stepped up for them. Then they're able to get Bruce Brown back. Phoenix, they got a lot of first-year minutes out of Ryan Dunn. I know he kind of dropped it off a little bit. Buzzer says, I could see LeBron going back to Cleveland. He could realistically win one last chip there. Yeah, that stood out to me in the first, but it doesn't seem like there's traction, fam. Doesn't seem like there's much traction to that right now. So here y'all get some highlight top 5 plays from our new Summer League point guard. We've got a lot of point guards now. Barber. It looks like he can be a shooting guard as well at 6'5". 29 years old, fam. Coming into Summer League. Nice little no-look pass, though. Don't leave your feet. Can't leave your feet, fam. We already got that with D Rose and Josh Hart. But that one worked out. Nice little nifty pass. Looks like he's got the big man on an island. Step back, fade away. Okay, so he can shoot it. Barber can shoot it. We need another guy that can attack. Can attack on offense. Whoa, what a crossover. Right to left. That was spicy, that one. That was number 2 on the countdown. What we got? Play number 1. Oh, what a steal. Flying into the passing lane. Get upstairs. Throws it down. Okay, that reminds me of a couple of current players. We could do with that. Players on 2 sides. As Dirty says, no one ever looks bad on a highlight reel. Definitely, but it's the best way to understand, I guess, the ceiling of what you're getting. You know, you don't want to watch a video of a bunch of turnovers either. So, but yeah, definitely interesting addition to Summer League. He's played Summer League before, so I'm looking at 2022 with the Golden State Warriors. Also bring up some NBL highlights. The guy loves to win, which we love as well. Here he is. Fan favorite. Wins championships in the NBL. We need bench depth, says T Mac. We've got some good depth right now. Julian, what's good with Marjon Beauchamp? I think that guy has so much potential, man, but I think his offense is just letting him down now. I think Marjon Beauchamp is a guy that is bouncing around a little, doesn't have much of an offensive game. And I do think Dardier has more two-way skills. Even if they like Marjon, I think it's just a numbers game where they threw a first-round draft pick at Dardier, and they've got to develop him more. So yeah, Dorkosaurus. So he's coming in to Summer League right now. We'll see. He's obviously trying to use Summer League to get a professional contract. The same thing with Bawali Bales. So how Summer League works, guys, is most of our Knicks contracted players are going to be priority. They're going to be starting Summer League. They're going to be the one getting most of the minutes. But for the rest of the Summer League team, you have to fill the squad out, and usually that squad is filled out with a bunch of, offers to help out, some relationships, and these veterans want to, use Summer League as a chance to get a contract somewhere, whether it not be with the Knicks, with someone else, so you see all team Summer League squads get filled out with a lot of different veterans and just not players that the Knicks are really looking to bring in. They're just there to fill out the numbers for the rest of the Summer League team. But they're also there to try to parlay that into a contract. They might be out of the league. They might be somewhere trying to get a deal in Europe. Might be trying to get back into the NBA. So yeah, we are bringing in some of these older guys. Remember last year, Dwayne Washington. Man, that didn't work out too well. Was eating up a lot of the shots. But our Summer League team was not very deep last year, and if we look at this year, man, we've got probably the deepest team in terms of that we've had with contracted players, with Summer League. I'll bring this roster up right now, fam. Just in terms of Knicks contracted players, we go 7 deep for Summer League. 7 deep already, and we're not even bringing Rocas over. We're not bringing Hugo Besson. We're not bringing him over either. So the Aussie coach Brian Gorgin's bringing over a couple of guys from the NBL just to help us fill it out. But yeah, Barber's a 29-year-old vet. He looks like he's got skills, but he's out of the league at the moment. Is he NBA material? I don't know. But I think the Knicks are obviously, putting him on that stage so that he can get a contract somewhere. But, he's a player that's got a lot of pro experience, can shoot it. One of the things I said last night is Landry Shamet is from California. So he might be a guy that a lot of those guys, looking for the contracts, might go home back to the West Coast. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe the Knicks want to look at somebody else for that spot, because there is a little bit of double up, in my opinion. Like right now, the time is now for McCullough and Dardier. If you're not going to give them a shot, I would prefer us to move them on and then bring in some veterans. But if you bring in Landry, there's just no way for Dardier to get any minutes. We're already 10 deep. If you bring back Landry, there's no way for McCullough either. So that's the question. I think that remains. Yeah, Japanese athletes, they bring great mentality as well. Disciplined. Dirty Dancer says worked out well for Dwayne. He got a free 2 milli. Yeah, I forget the cat trade, right? He got snapped up, signed, sent to Charlotte. Yeah, Washington, the guy that shot the rock. But like I said, Summer League, you need a couple of those no conscience guys. And we have Bawali Bales, the 23-year-old point guard. He's like Alonzo Trier, fam. He's definitely going to get the shots up. But Tyler Kolek will be starting. Kolek will be getting most of those minutes. So that's key. Wonder if we'll get Kevin Knox. We might get a Kevin Knox sighting at Summer League again. Kevin Knox legend. Paula, so yeah, can confirm Jordan Brink is our Summer League coach, and I'll bring up his photo. You've seen him around. He was an assistant on Summer League last year. Here he is coaching up Kolek on the sideline, and he is the Knicks video challenge coordinator, or video coordinator as well. And here he is with Derrick Rose. When he was before he came to the Knicks, he was with Detroit. And working with our guards right now. I mean, Kolek's got to feel ready because his age. He got a small taste last season, getting some minutes, a lot of G League minutes. Big East Player of the Year, the best playmaker on the team. If he's given a shot, I think he's going to, play make and run the team well. It's just a matter of can the 3 ball translate, and can the defense be, a decent enough? Can the defense be decent enough just to stay out there on the floor? So you have Jordan Brink, Summer League coach. Assistant coach is that Brian Gorgin, the experienced head coach from the NBL. Barry says we're not going to have to play 6 or 7 versus 12 to 14. Yep, that's going to be a big help. Definitely. We can experiment more too. Buzzer says if I hear Rocas one more time, trade his rights and a 2nd-round pick to get a late first. Yeah, man, I got a lot of things on Rocas. It's hard to say right now, man. I think he's just Rokas is one of those guys that's just elite Europe, but NBA, it just doesn't make as much sense, man. He's a shooting guard in a point guard's body, kind of thing. Doesn't have a quick step. Is one of those real savvy players, like, will stick around in Europe and all of that. Fam. Yeah, Shaz Lanier was a great pickup. Definitely. Darren coming through with the latest reports. As always, salute. Dante Exum, considered the Knicks as a possible destination before he agreed to a deal with Dallas on Wednesday, fam. Yeah, so that is an information that I'd heard. It was of no consequence because he didn't choose the Knicks, but it's kind of cool to see for a number of reasons because he was high on my board, and also it tells me first and foremost that the Knicks are thinking the same thing. That yeah, we are looking for some more ball handling, but it tells me that they also valued that Dante Exum brings defense. He brings wing defense in a point guard's body. He brings point guard skills in a wing's body. Was what I meant to say. At 6'6", but like Darren says here, the Knicks have been in touch with multiple backup guards on the market. What do y'all think about Malcolm Brogdon? We know Russell Westbrook's been in touch with the Knicks. Seth Curry could be one of those guys. So great reporting, great news coming through. Like I told y'all, man, I don't know if they're sold on Tyler Kolek being one of the main backup point guards at the moment. Well, being, him being the only, let's put it that way. I think they're comfortable with Kolek being around, but I don't know if they're comfortable challenging for a championship with him as the only playmaking point guard right now. Now, Clarkson played 37 games last season. He suffered from plantar fasciitis, which is crazy because if you know anything about plantar, it can stick around and it's just nasty. Plantar, it can linger and can hang around. So I don't think it's too much to worry about because I heard that the Jazz were kind of telling him to just take it easy, if you know what I mean. Just chill a bit and take it easy so that they can lose. But if the plantar becomes a factor, then yeah, Clarkson might miss some time, and then you got Deuce, and then it's Kolek next man up. So the interesting thing about Dallas is I think Omax Prosper's gettable now, guys, because I mean, they're choosing between Dante Exum to bring him back. He's the 16th guy. So they need to cut someone. So Dallas is definitely going to make a trade. Consolidation trade, right? I would pounce on Omax Prosper, right? If you could get him for a second round pick, couple second round picks, right? Sign and trade PJ Tucker and send him over there. Then they can cut PJ and save their money on the 14 man. That could be opportunistic. Talk that Cam Whitmore is available as well, right? I know y'all big fans in the building. Shout out Johnny, comes to mind. Johnny's very high on Cam Whitmore. I think he could be gettable as well, fam. There's a tight squeeze around the league, and a lot of talent is coming available, man. Like I said, Lonnie Walker, I'm confused why he can't stick, man. So many teams are trash. You can't tell me that Lonnie Walker can't find a squad. Darren says also free agent forward Jabari Walker has agreed to a two-way with Philly. So solid pickup for Philly. They're picking up some scraps. Dirty Dancer says the cool thing about our depth is that only Brunson and Mitch are position locked. Yeah, definitely versatility. Um, just to add to that, as I said before, I want Hart. I want Josh Hart to be position locked. I know he's versatile, but I don't want Hart playing the 4, and I for sure don't want Josh Hart playing the 2. So I think Hart needs to be in lineups where he's right in the middle, where he's the 3, where we're not too small, where we're depending on his rebounding. If Hart's the help rebounder, then the other team's in trouble, right? Because we know that Hart can hold his own as a key rebounder, but if he's the help rebounder, yeah, the other team's got no chance, right? For example, if Huck Porty and Yabusele is there, and Hart's the 3rd best rebounder, for his size, then we're going to dominate. Because what are the chances a small forward, a 3-man, is going to box out Josh Hart? Teams always forget to box out Josh Hart. But if he's the power forward, they're going to tug on his jersey. They're going to pull him down. They're going to make it difficult. But if he's skying from the wing spot, that helps. Yeah, Junior, man, that 7-team trade. It sounds crazy, but it might just be underwhelming. I know Gambo, covering the Suns, is talking about it's just going to be straightforward. It's just going to be the Durant particulars and and some moving pieces, salary and that. But it hasn't been confirmed. It could be something major. Yeah, Darren Hood's our guy. He's our reporter right now. He's got the Knicks Buzz, Streets of Buzz, and media credentials. Barry says Roker said he's not doing Summer League again. Probably not G League. Yeah, he's ready for a real contract. He would come to the NBA, and I think we're just holding on to his rights in maybe a bigger trade. So yeah, the Dante Exum thing's interesting, fam, and we're in discussions with some more backup point guards as well. Jock Landale got waived as well, right? Another backup center man. What do y'all think about Jock Landale as just a big insurance? A vet that can stretch the floor out a little. I know that we've got James Nagy, but he might stick on the 2-way. So, okay, let me bring this up. Right, I'll bring up the latest report from Ian Begley. It's got some great updates about the Knicks' plans coming through, looking at other point guards and filling out the squad. Let's take a look at this. Looks like Brogdon is on the radar. Malcolm Brogdon. Right. Man, they need to chill with these ads on some of these websites too. So here we go. A few notes on the Knicks off-season entering 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everyone, coming up in a minute. Have a great weekend. Salute. The Knicks are hard capped at the second apron. They're currently close to the second apron, but they should have enough money to sign another vet, free agent. I don't know if there is a specific focus on that final spot, but the Knicks have been in touch with multiple backup guards on the market right now. Dante Exum considered the Knicks as a possible destination before he agreed to a deal with Dallas on Wednesday. Right, just before I continue, I feel like Dante would have looked at the Knicks, would have liked it as an attractive spot. But when you look at Brunson, McBride, Clarkson as well, he would have been like, my chances are very slim. He returns to the same team that he was on with the same coach, I think with Jay Kidd. And I think he probably is thinking like, okay, I'm better off with the coach that knows me, knows my game. As noted earlier, the Knicks touch base with free agent Ben Simmons this week. So it seems like the Knicks are at least keeping an eye out on the market for a backup guard. He's obviously not on their radar now, but the Knicks also did some background work on DeAndre Ayton. Some decision makers viewed Ayton as a good fit next to Karl Anthony Towns. That's interesting. Part of their background work included talking to the Blazers about Ayton. Shams reported that the Blazers gave good feedback on Ayton to teams that called, which is contrary to recent reports, painting Ayton in a negative light. Well, of course, Portland are going to say, yeah, Ayton was cool. They're trying to get rid of him. You feel me? But I respect that. You know, there's no need to slander the player on the door on the way out. But it's not like the Blazers are going to say something bad about him when they're trying to move on. The Knicks received similar positive feedback from Portland about Ayton's leadership and some younger Blazers. I assume if the Knicks paired Ayton and Towns, Mitch would have been the club's backup. Okay. And the Knicks were impressed with Micah Norrie. He didn't get the job, but the Timberwolves assistant impressed the Knicks during the interview process. According to people in touch with the team, Norrie's insight on workload, player production stood out during the Knicks interview. Yeah, he does have that experience with Cat and the familiarity. So I think he would have made a good impression on the rotations and the minutes allocations. Mike Brown, Norrie, Taylor Jenkins, Borrego, Staley were the known interviewees. The Knicks were always leaning towards hiring a head coach with NBA experience. But Norrie's interview certainly gave them something to think about. So, yeah, there we have it, guys. That's a good update. So we are looking at some vets still, and we're looking at some guards. NYC says, just get Simmons, call it a day. We don't need Simmons, says Jimmy, and Augustine says, we don't need Simmons' baggage. I think it's a similar risk, yeah, going for a guy that he just hasn't been able to stick at one spot. You know, it's just been one thing after the other, with injuries and inconsistency in his game. But look, Ben Simmons would come in as the 9th guy, 10th guy. So my thing is he can defend without the basketball. That's what I'm really looking at. When we're going head-to-head, guys, with Oklahoma and Cleveland next season, as we look at these odds, I've got no doubt in my mind that we have enough scoring to beat anybody. We have enough scoring to beat anybody now. My only concern is how we hold up on defense. And the more length, size, and wing defenders you can stack, the better. You know, look at the blueprint with the Lou Dorts, Case and Wallaces, and Shays, and the Alex Carusos of the world. Right, that's how you slow Indiana down. And even then, they had trouble. Even then, they had trouble slowing them down. So, do we have enough wing defenders? Do we have enough positional switchable guys to lock down on D? You know, that's going to be the biggest question, in my opinion. Our offense is going to be elite. Our offense is going to be definitely elite. The pace and space and the three-point shooting is going to go up. The assist percentage is going to go up. We've got some more bucket getters off the bench with Clarkson and Yabusele. But what happens when it comes to defending and holding the other team and getting stops? You know? What's going to happen when it comes to getting stops? So if it's not Simmons, I would look at Chris Boucher, Delano Banton. I think Lonnie Walker's a good shout because Lonnie Walker's a two-way player. He can you know, bend his knees and pull his shorts up and guard. So yeah, if our defense can come to play, we're going to be dynamite. Yeah, El Tango says Pac-Man is bigger, has a bigger bag than Beauchamp. That could be the answer to my solution. Pacome Dardier, man. Watching film, he looks 6'8" and above. He looks 6'9" almost. I think he needs to strengthen the lower core as well, though. He looks a little like, tall, skinny kid with chicken legs. But if he can strengthen his core and get more lift, I think he's going to be insane. Yeah, please pass on Bradley Beal. Definitely agree on that, Dirty. I think there's just too many double ups, Now, one thought, guys, is maybe Josh Hart's defense, with less minutes, and maybe his intensity goes up a little. Maybe we get back to the Josh Hart that we saw right after the trade deadline when we acquired him from Portland. Because that was the best version of Josh Hart I've ever seen, man. That second half of that year when we traded for Josh Hart, he just was unbelievable. We went on a 9-game winning streak. Like, once Tibbs started to wear Josh Hart down, he started to break down. Abdominal strains, hurt back, falling to the ground. If we can lower Josh Hart's minutes to 25, 26 minutes for the whole season, that's going to be like a whole nother upgrade, in my opinion, because Hart's going to be more, he's going to be more fresh. Yeah. Yeah, appreciate that, Buzzer. JJ says we don't need Bron. I like the roster the way it is. Yeah. Heather, what's good? Says find a way to get Dante back. There is no player like him on the Knicks that the Knicks could use. Get Devo back. Redheads rule. Let's get Devo back. It's going to be difficult because Minnesota really like Devo. But as I say, if you're just patient, his contract is coming down. And guess what? When Devo becomes a free agent again, we need his boys to reach out, Promise him that we won't trade him again, right? We don't want a repeat of Tim Hardaway, man. If Dante forgives us and comes back as a free agent, and we can't trade him again, we've got to be ready. We've got to be ready to win. But one scenario that I threw out there yesterday was Yabusele has a player option after this year, so he could be a rental. Clarkson is here on a buyout, vet minimum. He could use this as a payday. So those two could be a rental. So maybe at the trade deadline, you recognize that, hey, we might lose these two guys. Maybe you could package Yabusele and a Clarkson and someone else to tempt, and get DiVincenzo back. Now, it would have a risk, a boom or bust situation because Yabusele and Clarkson are two players that are valuable. But like I said, if they're a 1-year rental and we're going to be over the second apron yet next season, you have to seriously consider your chances of retaining those free agents, right? Like I said, I believe Yabusele took slightly less, and to scratch his back, the Knicks had to give his agent a player option. It was a two-way street. Yabusele say, yeah, I'm coming, y'all. 2-year deal. Give me the taxpayer mid-level, or give me slightly less if you need to fit the veteran in, but give me a player option. And so Yabusele is going to have a great season. He's going to earn more money. He's going to be a rental, and the Knicks are going to have to pay him after this season comes up. So there will be some interesting conversations at the trade deadline. He'll be in hot demand. And yeah, we could use that to potentially get Devo back, right? I'm just speculating right now, but yeah, those two could be two big time trade chips. Um, yeah, Mario, I don't think we're going to shake things up right now. If you look at the two major dominoes on the market, there's nobody worth shaking it up for unless it's Giannis. And outside of that, Booker's staying, man. He got 150 million. Um, who else? No one else is getting traded. It's LeBron or Giannis, and that's it. So I think that's why they brought in Mike Brown. I think they made the decision internally that Cat's going to stay here. We're gonna try to make it work, and just see how it looks. You know, yeah, the Timberwolves want to compete, man. They're contending as well. They're not going to throw DiVincenzo for out there for chips. He's a major part of their core as well. But yeah, exactly like Dirty Dancer says here, the two dominoes of a potential breakup or trade are the extensions of Mitchell Robinson and Mikal Bridges, right? I'm on high alert, 100%, you know. Now, I'm not panicking now because usually there's no need to wait or no need to rush until later in the off season. You've got time. You wait as long as possible, I think, to extend Mitch to see how he looks and Mikal. But I think worst case scenario, that they sign and that their contracts are trade friendly at least, But I think their play's pretty safe if they're healthy. I think Mikal will retain his value, I think, on the trade market because a 3-and-D wing is always going to be of some value to a team. Mitchell Robinson as well. I think there aren't too many elite rim protectors like him. Now, when you look at Capella getting old, Brook Lopez is getting old, Al Horford is getting old. Mitchell Robinson could become the premier, shot blocking free agent if he doesn't get that extension. If he wants to run it into free agency, Mitchell Robinson will be the premier shot blocking free agent in the prime of his career. If I'm his agent, I'm expecting Mitch to get 20 million at least, maybe 18, 20. Miles Turner just got 26. Yep. Josh Hart will come back stronger and energized. He will continue to mentor McCullough out there. So, yeah. I look at the Knicks' priorities as well. They picked up Huck Porty and McCullough's option on day one. So, they've got plans for McCullough, definitely. They've got plans for him. His salary is super low as well, They might see him ahead of Dardier right now. I would not be surprised. But in terms of Summer League, yeah, they're both going to get their chance to rock out and show out for Summer League. 7 contracted players to the Knicks for Summer League, right? That has to be a record. That has to be a record since I've been following the Knicks. 7 contracted players are going to be with Summer League, man. That's the biggest young core than we've ever had. I know we had one year we had Mitch, we had our IQ, we had RJ, Toppin, and I know one year we had Porzingis, Jaren Grant, a couple of other guys, but we never had 7 guys, And it's ironic that we're the deepest team we've had, and we're a contender, and now's the time when we have the biggest young core. Let that sink in, When we were trying to tank, or we were supposed to be tanking, we didn't have a young core like that. We were signing Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, Randall, and another power forward. We weren't rebuilding enough. Yep. Mario, I think Mitch is a team player. He knows his role. I think that's one thing that's actually, quiet down. Remember he used to post a lot of stuff on media. I'm just doing this for cardio. Knicks won't give me the basketball. we've come a long way with Mitch. You know, he used to complain on social media. You look how dejected he was when the Knicks lost in the playoff. He was the most locked in. I think some maturing and maybe some of those injury setbacks really gave Mitch, you know, more perspective about, you know, his value to the league and to the team, you know, and a shout out to him. I think he's definitely matured a lot more. Yeah, we talked about Jabari Walker already. That's a two-way deal, so shout out to him to get that deal. Get me some more size, you know, Delano Banton. I would have loved Larry Nance, but I guess I see why they're interested in Ben Simmons, because he's the Dollar Tree version of Larry Nance, where on defense he can guard, you know, 3s, 4s, and 5s. I think we need to be looking at more positionless guys, or another steady ball handling point guard that can shoot. Like I said, they see Deuce McBride as more of an off-ball wing. Clarkson will assume, I think, the main ball handling off the bench, but he's a shoot first guy as well. So whether it be Kolek or they bring in a Simmons, a Westbrook, Chris Paul, Brogdon, you know, like I said, Exum they were looking at. It does look like it's going to be one of those guys, fam. So we have an update. According to reports, Jonas Valanciunas verbally committed to signing in Europe and is willing to give up the full amount he is owed by the Nuggets to leave the NBA. So yeah, things can change real quick. It ain't July 6th yet, and it looks like you know, Nuggets fans were celebrating. They got Jonas Valanciunas, but it looks like he's about to flee to go back to Europe and give up the money he's owed just to go back to Europe and retire out there. I understand that, you know, he's been abroad for his entire career right now. He doesn't want to be a trade bait, you know, passed around the league now. He knows when it's time to call it quits. You know, you don't want to be no human trade exception, you know, just bouncing around the league, you know, at the end of your career. I think when you earned enough money, you know, you want security. You want to be guaranteed role. That's one of the things why Rocas doesn't really want to come over yet. You know, he's a veteran getting major minutes overseas. James Naji's different. He wants to come over to start his career. You know, to start his career in the NBA and stay. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our staff in place. Look out for the news of the key assistant, right? It could be the handy guy. But in relation to Mike Brown, the squad continuing to evolve and locking in these final roster spots. We got Jordan Brink running Summer League coming up, man. Happy 4th of July. In 6 days, we will have NBA Summer League kick off in Vegas. Great conversations tonight, everyone. Appreciate y'all coming through the building and showing us some love, and smash that like button. You've got the Nick Streets buzzing. A- some off season for me so far. Solid work, and we're definitely coming in with the highest expectations. I think I missed one question earlier about, is it finals or bust? Is it fair expectations to have on Mike Brown? Definitely, right? They should thrive in this opportunity, right? If you want to win, you know, deal with those expectations, man. With expectations comes privilege. Because right now, we are the deepest team in the league. We're trying to break that 50-year drought. They should go out there like, this is our year. To hell with expectations, you know? Mike Brown's come in as the finisher, to come in and finish the job now. Thibodeau set the table and raised the floor now. now's the time to get the job done. You know, we're not here to play around and do more rebuilding and all of that. And that's why we brought in the most experienced guy. He wasn't the sexiest guy, not the sexiest name and that, but he's got some of the most experience, man. He's got to the finals in 2009 with Cleveland, coaching Hall of Famers, and winning 2-time Coach of the Year, winning 4 championships as an assistant as well. That's something those other guys didn't have on their resume. At the end of the day, when you're hiring a job, usually the person that comes with the most credential resume gets the job. You know, it's no different in the corporate world. It's no different here. You know, it's high risk, and so the Knicks don't want to take too many risks now. The East is wide open, and they want someone who has been down that road. You know, been down that road before. So let's get into it, guys. It's going to be a big season, and I look forward to it. Appreciate y'all again. Let's get it, and happy 4th. Let's have a break tomorrow. Come back on Saturday to chop up the latest with everyone in the building. Peace.